Have you ever wondered what it was like to dine with a pharaoh? Forget a simple meal. We're talking about extravagant displays of power, wealth, and divine right, all served on a golden platter. In ancient Egypt, a royal feast was more than just food. It was a political statement, a religious spectacle, and a taste of eternity itself. Today, we're journeying back in time, pulling up a seat at the pharaoh's table to uncover the secrets of their incredible banquets. Welcome to FoodSaga. Like, subscribe, and comment for more. Let's start. Let's set the scene. Imagine the grand halls of a palace in Thebes or Memphis, lit by flickering oil lamps. Hundreds of guests, the elite of Egyptian society, high priests, viziers, and foreign dignitaries gather in their finest linen garments and elaborate jewelry. The air is thick with the scent of incense, lotus blossoms, and, of course, the incredible aroma of roasting meat. At the head of it all, seated on a magnificent throne, is the pharaoh, a living god on earth. The feast about to unfold is designed for one primary purpose: to reinforce that very fact. In a land where grain shortages could spell disaster for the common person, the pharaoh's ability to command such abundance was a clear sign of their control, not just over the land of Egypt, but over the cosmic order itself. Every dish served, every jug of wine poured, was a testament to their absolute authority. So, what exactly was on the menu? Let's start with the staples, the cornerstones of the Egyptian diet: bread and beer. But this wasn't the simple stuff. Royal bakers crafted bread in dozens of different shapes and sizes, from conical loaves to intricate animal forms, often sweetened with dates or honey. The beer was a thick, nutritious brew, a primary source of calories for all Egyptians, but the pharaoh's brewers would have produced a much finer, stronger, and more flavorful version for the royal court. These two items alone, produced in massive quantities, symbolized the agricultural wealth of the Nile Valley, a bounty the pharaoh was credited with securing from the gods. Now for the main courses. The centerpiece of any great feast was roasted meat, a rare luxury for most of the population. Huge cuts of beef, particularly the prized foreleg, would be slow roasted over open fires. But the selection didn't stop there. Herds of sheep, goats, and even gazelles were raised specifically for the royal table. And let's not forget the poultry. Roasted geese and ducks were common, often stuffed with bread and herbs. The Nile River also provided a rich bounty. Giant Nile perch, tilapia, and catfish were netted, salted, or grilled, offering a different kind of delicacy. The sheer variety and quantity of meat and fish demonstrated the pharaoh's dominion over every part of his kingdom, from the pastures to the river itself. A pharaoh's feast was also a feast for the eyes, bursting with color from a vast array of fruits and vegetables. Piles of deep purple figs, golden dates, and juicy pomegranates would be arranged on platters. Grapes, both fresh and dried into raisins, were plentiful. Vegetables like onions, garlic, lettuce, cucumbers, and lentils added texture and flavor to many dishes. And for that touch of sweetness, honey was the ultimate prize. Harvested from royal apiaries, this liquid gold was used to glaze meats, sweeten cakes, and flavor wine. It was a symbol of pure, natural luxury. The presence of so many fresh and preserved goods highlighted the sophistication of Egyptian agriculture and food storage, all managed under the pharaoh's administration. And what did they drink to wash all this down? While beer was the everyday drink, wine was the drink of celebration and luxury. Egypt's Nile Delta was a fertile wine-producing region, and vineyards owned by the pharaoh or his temples produced high-quality red and white wines. Amphorae, the clay jars used for storing and transporting wine, were often labeled with the vintage, the vineyard, and the chief winemaker's name, much like a modern wine label. This wasn't just any wine. It was a connoisseur's product. Moreover, Egypt's extensive trade networks brought in even more exotic flavors. Spices from the Near East, olive oil from the Aegean, and perhaps even more luxurious wines from Canaanite city-states would have graced the pharaoh's table, showcasing his global reach and influence. Preparing such a feast was a monumental undertaking, an operation on an industrial scale. The royal palace wasn't just a home. It was a sprawling complex with massive kitchens, bakeries, breweries, and slaughterhouses. An entire army of servants worked day and night to make a single banquet happen. Specialized chefs, each with their own area of expertise, oversaw teams of assistants. Butchers prepared the meat, brewers fermented the beer, and bakers tended to massive clay ovens. It was a highly organized system, a microcosm of the Egyptian state itself, with every person playing a specific role to serve the god king. The logistics were staggering. Imagine coordinating the delivery of hundreds of cattle, thousands of birds, and countless jars of wine, all to be ready for a single evening. It was a logistical masterpiece that further cemented the pharaoh's image as a master organizer and provider. These feasts were rarely just for pleasure. They were deeply intertwined with ritual and symbolism. Many banquets were held to mark important religious festivals, such as the Opet festival, which celebrated the link between the pharaoh and the god Amun-Ra. Other feasts commemorated military victories, where the pharaoh would display the spoils of war and reward his loyal generals. The act of sharing food with his court was also a way to build and maintain alliances, a shared experience that bonded the elite to their ruler. The food itself was symbolic. Certain cuts of meat were associated with specific gods, and offerings were always made to the deities and the spirits of ancestors before the guests could eat. The banquet was a sacred event, connecting the earthly realm with the divine. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the pharaoh's feast is the belief that it could last forever. The ancient Egyptians had a profound belief in the afterlife, which they envisioned as a continuation of their life on Earth, but perfected. To ensure they wouldn't go hungry in this eternal paradise, they took their feasts with them. The walls of tombs are covered in vibrant paintings and reliefs depicting endless supplies of food and drink. They show servants preparing bread, butchering oxen, and pressing grapes. These weren't just decorations. They were magical spells intended to manifest these items for the deceased in the afterlife. But they didn't stop there. They placed real food and drink inside the tombs. Archaeologists have discovered mummified ducks, dried fish, loaves of bread, and jars of wine that are thousands of years old, all left as provisions for the pharaoh's eternal journey. This was the ultimate feast, a banquet for eternity, ensuring the pharaoh could continue to live in the same luxury and abundance forever. From the grand display of power to the intimate rituals and the promise of an eternal afterlife, the feasts of the pharaohs were far more than a meal. They were a powerful expression of Egyptian culture, religion, and social structure. Every loaf of bread, every cup of wine told a story of divine right, immense wealth, and a civilization that planned not just for a lifetime, but for all of eternity. The next time you sit down for a special meal, remember the pharaohs who truly mastered the art of the feast. Thanks for joining us on this journey to ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more historical deep dives. Thanks for watching Food Saga.